Hello and welcome once again to my YouTube channel. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe, turn on notifications and all that stuff. Victory amplification. It's been a bit of a hot topic, hasn't it, recently, with KDH doing a bit of shit flicking. But anyway, that's not what I want to discuss. What I want to discuss today is this. This beautiful monolithic thing is the Victory the Sheriff 44 head and cab 2x12 cab. This amp, to me, is lining itself up to be a bit of a collector's piece, a bit of a classic in years to come. The real compelling thing to make this video was that this amp has been known to have a couple of fundamental flaws. You're going to say to me, well, why didn't you just get the newly released Sheriff 25? It came out in January, this one was discontinued, which supposedly fixes some of the issues that this has. They're actually quite different amps. Now, I've been chatting with Martin Kidd about this. The way he puts it was that this amp was really styled, really designed to, as closely as possible, get you that classic 60s, 70s Marshall plexi tone. But what perceivably people really wanted was more of a hot-rodded sort of 80s style Marshall, like the JCM 800. What you actually get with the 25, the newer released version, is, yes, some features that correct some of the flaws of this amp, but really what you're getting is a very different voiced amp. Putting that aside, the 25 is not just a fixed 44-22, right? It's not. So that then leaves the issues that this amp brings with it, the baggage, shall we say. So what do you get with this amp? You get two channels. You get a volume 1 and a volume 2, they call it on this. On the updated new version, I believe they've called it vintage and hot rod. But what you're effectively getting is one channel which is your very classically voiced plexi style. And on the volume 2 channel, you get a very much hot-rodded version. But that led to two problems that really, bothered people about this amp. Because this amp doesn't have built-in reverb or tremolo or any of that sort of stuff that a lot of the classic sort of valve amps had. Martin put an effects loop in the amp. The problem there is where it is before the phase split. The practical upshot of that was whatever you put in the effects loop hits a part of the amp afterwards that adds a little bit of dirt to it, depending on what you're actually doing on the amp. That also leads us on to the second fundamental flaw of this amp, which was boosting it. The amp itself is, again, the structure of the gain is done in such a way that if you push more volume into the front end of the amp with a boost pedal, for example, you're not going to get extra volume. What you are going to get is more gain. So yeah, what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to look at these two major issues with this amp and see, in a real practical sense, are they really an issue? Is this amp still relevant? Is it still worth having one of these? And is it still livable with? Alright, so we're plugged in. I've got my PRS with the Fishman Fluence classic humbuckers in, which sound absolutely flipping great. We're on the volume 1 or vintage style channel at the moment, and I've got it set quite clean. I've got the gain on volume 1 rolled all the way back to just like a quarter. I've got the master set almost to halfway, and I've dialed in the EQ to where I like it for this guitar. And so the idea with this channel is that this is my clean channel. So here's what it sounds like. It's nice, right? And it's got just enough hair on it that if I want to start hitting, yeah, but it's got that lovely, lovely sort of plexiglassiness. Yeah, lovely. So then I have the second channel, the hot rodded channel, dialed with the gain up to about 3/4, so basically opposite. So if I kick in that second channel, this is what we get. pickup, by the way. Let's hear the bridge pickup. Lovely, absolutely delicious tone. I mean, tone of this thing, it's just... Let's talk a little bit about the boost problem first, right, before we get into the effects loop thing. So yeah, Martin Kidd's suggestion, and you'll find the video link down in the description to what he suggests. If you put a pedal in front of this amp, the problem is when you hit that boost pedal, you don't get more volume, you get more gain. Therein lies the problem. You know, a lot of people just don't want more gain, they just want more volume. So Martin's suggestion to resolve that issue is to put something in the effects loop that will attenuate your signal, so the majority of the time you have this in your loop turned on, pulling the signal down a little bit, pulling the volume down a little bit. So when you want that volume boost, you kick that off and bosh, your volume flies up. And I imagine if you were going to do that, you would use like an EQ pedal or something like that in the effects loop, and you know, something that isn't going to affect your tone, isn't going to affect the gain, but it's just going to pull the volume down. This isn't really as big a problem as people are making out, and I'll tell you why. You probably heard just now, when I switch from one channel to another, that is definitely a discernible volume boost when you kick in that hot rodded channel. So there's tons of really nice guitar pedals that'll add a bit of dirt for you. And so yeah, let me show you that. What I've got down here on the floor, you can't see, but I've got a clone that I built of a Zen drive. So I'm just going to use that to dirty up the clean channel a little bit. So here we have the clean again. So let's kick in the Zen drive. So we haven't got any more volume. We've got an extra bit of dirt in there, really making it sound sweet, right? Yes, that's right, a bit of rock and roll. So there we go, and you know, I've got a nice bit of dirty rhythm there. And it's sweet for solos as well, if I just want to. Beautiful. But yeah, what if I want that boost? I'll just kick the channel on. So yeah, we get a nice volume boost there, and so, I don't know, that works for me. On to the biggie, the effects loop, and what's going on there. So, I think what I want to do, you can probably see up here, I've got a little pedal board set up, we've got a little analog delay. Check out my previous video, $15 guitar pedals. If you want to see more about that one, it's unbelievable for $15. And then we've got a little Hall of Fame 2 mini pedal there for a bit of reverb. So delay and reverb, very typical sort of thing you'd have in your effects loop. So everything you've been hearing so far has been just the dry signal. Let's turn on the reverb. To be fair, I typically play with reverb on all the time. When I've got an amp that has reverb built in, I always have a bit of reverb in there. So this would be, for me, something that I would probably want on all the time. So this is going to have to work all the time. So let's have a little listen. Let's see what it sounds like now. I've just kicked it on. Okay. You can hear that little bit of space in the sound there. Alright, so it sounds okay. I mean, to my ears, right, that's a perfectly usable, perfectly nice. It's a quite subtle amount of delay, reverb. It's not doing anything untoward to the signal. It's Martin's suggestion here is that if you're going to use effects in the effects loop on this amp, to get them sounding the best they can sound, you really want to use them as little as possible. You want them dialed in a way that they're adding as little as possible. Let's hear that in practical terms. What does that really sound like when the problem's there? So, like I say, I'm still on the clean channel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the level and the decay time of the effect up, so we're getting more. There we go, more reverb there. And while we're clean, it's not so bad. For anyone interested, I'm actually using Greg Cox's tone print in this thing. So I guess that's meant to emulate like a nice spring reverb, something like that. And it does sound nice, you know. But I don't know if you can hear it yet, but where this really starts to become a problem is where you start to add gain to your signal. So let me switch to the second channel, and hopefully we'll hear the problem. You can really sort of hear how the trails really sort of driven as well. And it just adds all kinds of extra stuff to your signal. So my suggestion was to minimize the amount of effect you're using. So let's pull that back down again, see if we can get it sounding half decent. So yeah, decay time down a bit, level down a bit again. We're really pulling them back. So how does that sound? It's better. It's just fuzzy though, isn't it? Just adds a little bit of fuzz. I'm just going to put the decay time up a little bit and pull the level down a little bit more. Let's see what that does for us. Don't follow that. Okay, so I mean there's barely anything there now. So, you know, I don't know, I mean to me, in my ears, that's adding just enough reverb in there, just to add, you know, just to smooth things out a little bit. But I'm not hearing much effect anymore. Where I, you know, what I don't want is to compromise the beautiful tone of this amp. So yeah, reverb, not going to be your pal on this amp really, except for a tiny amount when you're running the hot rodded channel. You can get away with more if you're using a cleaner sound. Switch back to the I mean it's there, very subtle. If I add a bit more in on the level. It's there again, and it's nice. Maybe switch back to the hot rod, and it's just Really, really is. Let's pull that back a little bit again, back to where we had it. To be fair, it's barely even worth having it. So, who knows, maybe I'll just run without reverb for a little while and see what happens. You know, feel free to shout with any suggestions as to how else you could get around that with this amp. So yeah, I mean, there's maybe one definitive negative on this amp, and I don't really believe Martin's solution is viable. It's just not a workaround, is it? It's you know, my proper verdict on that is that just doesn't work. You can't have enough of that effect in the mix for it to be worth having in the first place. So what about delay? Let's have a little look at that, shall we? So let's switch the reverb off, so we're just hearing one or the other. So what have I got? I've got repeat set really low, mix set really low, time set really low. So again, minimal amount of effect here. I think this is set up just for a bit of slapback, really. So let's switch that on. There you go, just like almost like a single repeat, just this very slight trail off. Not as offensive, really. Dirt on that repeat, but we're using a dirty sound, so it's not so bad when it's delayed. But if you wanted anything more cavernous than that, let's say let's turn the repeats up a little bit to about halfway. We'll leave the delay time where it is, and we'll just increase the mix there as well to about halfway. So lots of delay. It's just mud, isn't it, really? It's just a mess. Everything gets lost in amongst each other, and it's not really practical. So again, subtle. I think Martin's got a point with this particular effect delay, in that subtlety is key. Pulling it down and just having a little bit rather than a lot. So we'll pull the mix down again, we'll pull the repeats down again. So you could probably live with that if that's the type of delays you want. If you just want delay to add a bit of ambience or something like that, you could probably get away with that, and that sounds fine. But if you really wanted to soundscape and sculpt with your delays, and you're using multiple delays, and this amp's gonna fight you. I'll be quite honest with you. Here's one thing I will add, actually. The cabinet that is meant for this head, as well as the reissue of the head, they've changed the cabinet as well. The newer cabinet, this is the D212VH, I think it's called. The newer cabinet comes with two Celestion G12T75s, I think, and they're nice, they're okay, but the older cabs that came with the 44 and the 22 heads came with a G12H 70th anniversary speaker and a vintage 30, and the combination of the two, I think, to my ears at least, is just a little sweeter. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to really enjoy this amp while I've got it. Will it become my forever amp? Well, no amp's done that yet. I don't know. We'll see. Do love it. It does sound juicy. Say this for it as well, it's not a noisy amp. I've heard some people say that it is. It's not. At least it's not with these Fishmans. That could be the saving grace, really. So anyway, listen, tell me what you think, right? Did I waste my money? Am I onto a winner here? I'm going to knock a bunch of gigs out with this thing and see how I get on, because I'll tell you what, more than anything else, I fucking love how it looks. Oh, it's dirty, and look at this with the black guitars. Oh. And I tend to wear black on stage too, so it kind of fits my image very well. And it does kind of look like, you know, if Darth Vader was going to rock up to a gig with an amp, that would be his choice of amp, doesn't it? It looks mean, it looks cool. And I actually like the styling of the knobs on this one better than the new one, so nicer looking knobs. Yes, do like a nice knob. So anyway, yeah, tell me what you think, leave a comment, like, subscribe and turn on notifications, press all them buttons and the little bell things and the little thumbs up things and all that, and the big subscribe button as well. And let me know what you think. I mean, have you got one of these? Have you played through one of these? Have you had it for a while? Have you been gigging with it? How do you feel about it? Have you had one of these and then changed to the newer one? How was that experience for you? Tell me, let me know. But yeah, I just wanted to do this because I just got one and I think it's fucking great, but it has some fundamental flaws. And that's kind of like life, isn't it? That's kind of like marriage. You know, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Hopefully the smooth. It's very smooth, very nice. So anyway, yeah, I could keep rambling on forever about this. But anyway, thanks for watching. And yeah, check out my band if you get a chance. We've got gigs coming up all the rest of the year, and we're already booked for next year a bunch. So yeah, check us out. Go check out our YouTube channel. Go check out our TikTok. In fact, we should be doing weekly lives on our TikTok when we rehearse. We'll be broadcasting live for a part of that rehearsal. Just to have a bit of fun with you guys. So yeah, go and check it out and say hi. So bye.